morning, Edmonton and beyond. This is the Basketball Show. I'm your host, Paul Sir, along with Ryan Reed, coming to you this morning to talk all things hoops. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning. All-Star Weekend is upon us, Paul. And
pardon me while I yawn and doze off here.
There's a couple things worth.
Oh yeah, and you know what? We're going to talk about it as much as we have to. Because it's All-Star Weekend. It's obviously not a big. I'm not a big fan.
Would you say it was a bigger deal when you were young, or even early 2000s, like Vince Carter dunk contest era? Or like, was it a bigger deal back then? Would you say?
Well, yeah, and the dunk contest caught everybody's imagination.
Yeah. Now it's just G Leaguers in there.
Well, yeah, I mean when you have G Leaguers dunking, but you know what? You can't make it up how skilled these guys are, how athletic they are, what they can do. One of the things that 3x3 basketball events have, particularly at what's called the World Tour level, which we are the only host. I'm going to pound our chest a little bit here. Edmonton is the only World Tour men's event in North America. We are the only event in the world that has a men's and women's quest, which is a qualifying opportunity for teams to play in the FIBA 3x3 global circuit. We have the women's series and we have the World Tour. The only place in the world that does all of those events simultaneously, all going to be done at the Ice Palace, July 31st to August 3rd this year, and it will be a show. But part of what FIBA has always done is they've always had a dunk competition, and you see some amazing dunkers from around the world. But this all started, Dr. J, 1977, or actually before in the ABA, Dr. J with what was called the dunk from the free throw line, actually a foot or two inside. But that's what lit the fire, and that's what started this. And then it had some golden years. Michael Jordan in Chicago winning it. Dominique Wilkins, 5'7" Spud Webb, amazing. But then over time, it's really gotten tired at times, and now you're jumping over cars, 22 people. It's still amazing to watch. The athleticism is beyond belief. Who was that?
The Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon one.
That was the best.
It's the greatest one I've ever watched.
It's the greatest slam dunk.
50 after 50 after 50.
It was. That was the greatest slam dunk competition of all time. Yeah. What they did was beyond belief, and nobody's ever been able to, I think, capture the imagination since then. Who's the G Leaguer that's won it the last
two? McClung's going for the three-peat this weekend.
Three-peat. I mean, the guy's amazing as a dunker. And so it still has validity, but I think it's gotten a bit tired, long in the tooth. For me, loving shooting as I do, but for me, the most exciting part of All-Star Weekend is the three-point competition. Two principal reasons. A, it is strictly basketball skill-based. To me, the dunk competition is like dance. It's like artistic dance. It really is an artistic expression. The three-point competition is hardcore basketball skills based on thousands and thousands and thousands of repetitive hours perfecting that skill, which is still the most coveted skill in basketball, the ability to make three-point shots consistently.
Do you think it's a different, like you obviously were quite the shooter back in your day, but do you think it's different taking it off a rack? How much different is it that versus catch and shooter off the dribble?
I think taking it off the rack is something you have to really work at.
I see. So it's a unique skill, do you think, the three-point contest versus normal shooting?
It is a unique skill.
Obviously, it's transferable, but...
It's transferable, certainly, but you have to work at it. You have to get used to the rhythm. You have to get used to being able to take the ball off the rack, set, shoot, follow through, take the ball off the rack, set, follow through. My son Steve has won more three-point shootouts or two-point shootouts than anyone by far in the 3x3 global competitions. But he was actually in 2006 in Atlanta in the NCAA three-point shooting competition. And that was one of the things that he talked about, was just getting used to taking the ball off the rack. It's an acquired, as you say, transferable skill. But I love that. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about who's going to win that a bit later in the show. And speaking of the show, we have a great show lined up today. We're going to start with at 10:20 Adika Peter-McNeilly. And, of course, that name is very familiar to everyone in Edmonton because Adika has played for the Edmonton Stingers every year that the Stingers have been in the CEBL. And Adika had a great college career, but he comes from a family of coaches. And he made the decision after the last season to retire from playing on the court to now coaching over at Nate, replacing Jordan Baker, the head coach of the Stingers, at the Nate Oaks program. And Adika's doing a wonderful job over there. So we're going to talk to him at 10:20. At 10:40, we have Dylan Travis in. And Dylan played at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. And he is a fixture in USA basketball 3x3 and played on the American Olympic team. And Dylan's been up in Edmonton at our World Tour events, and he's a great guy. And we'll have a fun conversation about 3x3 and a bunch of other basketball stuff with Dylan. And then one of my favorites, Alan Horton, the WCCO play-by-play voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves, is going to be joining us at 11 o'clock. And certainly we will talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves season, the development of the Ant into one of the best players in the league, the trade, Karl Anthony Towns for Randall, oh, goodness gracious.
Dante DiVincenzo.
DiVincenzo. That was the name I have.
Kings legend, half a season in Sacramento.
Yeah, well, and DiVincenzo's been nice when he's been healthy, but keeping him healthy has been the tough part. So we're going to have a great conversation, not just about the Timberwolves, but about the NBA in general, the trades that have just taken place. He joins us at the top of the hour, and then Ryan and I we're going to dive into some fun stuff. We're going to talk about who the best one-on-one players would be, some matchups that we're going to look at there. We're going to talk about the three-point competition, as we indicated as well. We'll talk about the All-Star game. We're going to talk about the Hall of Fame. We got all kinds of basketball-related stuff. I want to invite you, if you have any questions, you have any comments, text us at 833-401-1440. Again, 833-401-1440. But, of course, every week we have a poll question. A Hall of Fame nominees have been announced, and that's what our question's about. So, Ryan, why don't you share with our listeners what our poll question is for this week?
It's, as you said, based on the Hall of Fame, we're asking which of these candidates is most likely to be selected in the NBA Hall of Fame. We have Carmelo Anthony as one of the greatest mid-range shooters of all time, one of the better scorers of all time as well, with the Nuggets and the Knicks and the Rockets, I believe. We have Dwight Howard, a three-time Defensive Player of the Year, an NBA champion with the LA Lakers and LeBron. Wasn't able to do it by himself with the Magic. He got to the finals, I believe, once, but wasn't able to win it. We have Marquise Johnson, a legend in the 70s and 80s with the Bucks. He also had to get one season with the Warriors after his injury. And then we have WNBA legend Sue Bird, obviously beyond talented, one of the players that put women's basketball on the map around the world. So a bunch of deserving candidates, but go on our Twitter, basketball_show, cast your vote, text your thoughts, and we'll share your thoughts on the text. So 833-401-1440, as Paul mentioned, text us your thoughts, and we'll get to those right away.
Yeah, Carmelo, Dwight, Marcus, and Sue. Good choices all. And I'm really curious to see how this vote goes. To me, Carmelo's a shoo-in, 100%. I think Dwight should be as well. I mean, for what he accomplished. What a troubled career, though, that young man had. Like, Dwight Howard, as I understand it, came out of a very strict family, was a very straight, by-the-book kid who really struggled with what fame and money brought into his life. And his career, as storied as it is, as successful as it is, to the point where now he is a serious contender and should be put into the Hall of Fame, really went through a lot of ups and downs in his life and in his career. That will be a documentary one day if it isn't already, because it's really quite a story.
Even that L.A. Houston stint he had, where he was like L.A. with Kobe, didn't really work out, and then he went to Houston, and it kind of took a while for him to stick there. He was still very, very good in Houston, especially for like just general standards. But for his standards, 18 and 12 is good. But there was some problems with Harden in Houston. It was Kobe in L.A., and people wondered if he was just the problem in general.
Yeah, that's right.
But again, a very talented player, obviously, that we've mentioned before. And he is an NBA champion, so you can't take that away from him.
Yeah, you can't take that away from him. MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he was a phenomenal talent. I saw him live only one time, and that was in 2008. And the 2008 American basketball team is up also for induction into the Hall of Fame. But in 2008, went to Las Vegas and saw the USA play Team Canada and at the Thomas and Mack Arena, and went down courtside, had a chance to meet some NBA legends, Julius Erving, Lenny Wilkins, Spencer Haywood. I got to ask Spencer Haywood, could you really take a quarter off the top of the backboard? Because that was the claim. And he goes, damn right. And I'm actually trying to get Spencer Haywood on the program. I had him on in the first year we had our show over at TSN, and he was an absolute delight. And he really revolutionized the game. First player to sign before his college eligibility was up. And and he went to the ABA, but then also going to the NBA. But they have still the Haywood rule, and I'm struggling with what the exact details of that, but it really revolutionized contracts in the NBA for players. But Dwight Howard was there. I was surprised. He looked like about 6'8". Like when you went down and saw, like, he wasn't 7 foot, but he's 6'8". But honest to God, his shoulders are as wide as the table we're sitting at, Ryan. I mean, he was absolutely massive. Like, just that
man amongst boys.
Man amongst beautiful athletic build, just the high V-cut shoulders to the waist. That game was interesting, actually, because Kobe was playing, which was a lot of fun. And Kobe was going at Canadian Carl English. Carl played at the University of Hawaii. He's a legend coming out of Newfoundland. Played in Hawaii, played overseas, had cups of coffee in the NBA, in tryouts, etc.
But not comparable to Kobe, probably.
Well, no, but Carl's a tough competitor, and he was not giving anything up. But Kobe was going at him. And it was really fun to watch. It was fun to see that level of compete in an exhibition game. You see those, you get a glimmer, you get a little bit. It's like you pull the covers up just a little bit, and you see what drives those people. I had another thought on Kobe that I've heard a lot of discussion lately, and as time marches on after his tragic death with his daughter in that awful helicopter crash in the Los Angeles area, and now over time, how people start talking differently and waxing philosophic in a bit of a different way. You start hearing more and more about what a pain Kobe was as a teammate. Just what a drain he was on the rest of the team. And, he's one of the great players of all time. I don't put him in the category of Michael Jordan. I put him in the next tier down from Jordan for me. Just for me. Like, there's a lot of Kobe lovers that would totally disagree with me on this because the guy was unbelievable. But both Jordan and Kobe, and I wonder how much Michael Jordan's teammate reputation influenced Kobe's teammate reputation as well, because neither were known for being encouraging to other teammates, but rather leading by example in terms of nobody worked harder, but were often quite caustic and quite confrontational with teammates. It seemed to work better for Michael because, like Shaq, they won their tournaments. They won the NBA championships 3 times in L.A., playing together, but Shaq wanted out. He wanted out. It was a drain on Shaq. And I mean, Shaq comes across as a pretty good-natured, kind of down-to-earth guy, where Kobe's intense. And I think, I don't think he did himself or the Lakers any justice as his career wore on. And he really sucked up the resources of the Lakers as his skills were diminishing. Whereas you see other players over time, like Dirk, as his career wore on, he took less money to try to get better players in around him to keep the Mavericks, for instance, competitive.
Yeah.
Competitive. So, we've got lots more. Now, I would like to talk a little bit with you, Ryan, about the post-trade results. And, we talked about it a lot the last couple of weeks. But now we've got a little more time leading into the All-Star break. And we only have a snapshot with the Lakers because Luka and LeBron have only played 2 games together. One, they look great. Second one, they lose to Utah, and they don't look great. Now, Luka's coming off a long injury.
He's on a minutes restriction, I think, on that game too.
He's on a minutes restriction. He looks out of sync, out of shape. LeBron looks fine. They don't really have a post. They signed Alex Len when the Williams trade, and Alex Len is a journeyman. He's a big body.
For the Kings, yeah, not going to be a guy for them.
No,
he's not very good.
No, he's not an impact player. A serviceable, big traditional post player, and at least he puts a big body in the middle.
He was a minus 18 in 15 minutes against Utah the other night.
I wouldn't be shocked.
It's just he's not a true rim protector, and he's slow. And
I've seen Alex play a number of times, and you just described him. Yeah, he's a big, strong body.
He can set screens.
He can set screens, but he's a step slow.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how the Lakers post All-Star game start to fit their pieces together. Connect came back into L.A. It looked like he came back bent out of shape a little bit. Got some minutes against Utah in the second game. Says he just wants to ball, whatever the heck that means.
He did look a little upset too.
When they introduced Luka,
yeah,
he was pouting on the sidelines. Let's call it for what it was.
How do you feel about that? Is for Dalton? Are you just like you got to play? You have a contract. You're on the Lakers. It is what it is now. Or do you think you allow him some time to kind of figure it out? Or what do you think?
Absolutely not. He's a rookie. He hasn't proven a damn thing. He had 37 points in one game. That's great. He's not an established NBA player. He's trying to find his way in the league, and the way not to do it is to pout on the sideline. You are not Luka Doncic. You could not even dream of being Luka Doncic. You hope you will have a good, long NBA career, which he should have. But don't shut doors by having a bad attitude. So I hope, because he had a wonderful year at Tennessee after playing his way kind of up through the Division I system and getting the extra year, which set him up for success in the NBA. So, yeah, Dalton Connect is not what's going to make or break the Lakers, but he could be a contributor for sure. So what would you say if you had to give him a letter grade? I would say, kind of incomplete to start with because we really don't know. The Mavs have been interesting.
The AD stuff is brutal.
Oh, my God.
All 3 of their centers are out minimum a month.
This is what it's almost karma in its most absurd form of here the Mavericks go out and make this ridiculous trade that nobody has said, man, that was great for the Mavs. But they get a great player, a first-team All-NBA quality player in AD. And they have 3 great posts. Lively's already out and hurt. AD gets hurt in the first game in a non-contact abductor strain injury. And then Gafford gets a knee injury. Now they go with they have no posts.
No posts. The Kings, when they played them, they did a Sabonis and Valanciunas lineup because they had no centers. They're like, why don't we just bully them? And they did not give up a rebound. The Kings did not give up a rebound when both of them were on.
Yeah.
They're just like, just bully them. And it worked.
It worked. It worked for the Kings, but the Mavs have won 2 games without them. So the Mavs they're a surprising team. They're a weird team.
Well, they still have Kyrie Irving, right?
And Kyrie, the last game they won was without Kyrie, too. So it'll be interesting. I would give the Mavs, I would give the players a B. I would give the management an F for putting the Mavs in this situation. Just time will tell. Spurs, I'd give them a D-. So far, it's been less than impressive in terms of they've lost, 2 or 3 one-point games?
They've lost a couple of close ones, and I think they beat the Hornets. But I'm active, I'm not actively cheering against them. But I kind of feel myself cheering against them because of the whole the Fox thing gone sour kind of thing.
Yes,
and
you're pouting.
Yeah, let's just say I keep tabs on them, and I'd like to see them losing. We're also the Kings are also competing with them for playoff spots. So
right.
That's also motivation, I guess. But.
Well, 100%. I would say it's just they're both young, Fox and Wemby. I think we'll see whether or not Fox is the real deal in terms of being able to help a team win next season. I don't know what this. I think this season will be all over the place. So I would give that trade so far like a C. But the Golden State Warriors, surprisingly, I'm I'm going to give them an A. As much as it pains me because of how much disdain I have for Jimmy Butler, but the guy comes in and he shows why he's Jimmy Butler. The guy can flat out play. He has reignited the team. They're playing now with purpose. Some of their lesser players are playing better. Steph seems like he's liberated because now he has a legit second option.
I haven't had that in a long time.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, with all due respect to Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler is a much more versatile player than Klay Thompson because he gives them not just a guy who can hit the three. That's of his offensive skills. That's probably the least of his offensive skills. It's what he does in the mid-range and particularly around the basket. Draymond seems excited. I'm happy for Steph Curry. That's what I'm happy for. And I just like to see Jimmy Butler being Jimmy Butler. It's all the crap leading up to it that I don't like about a guy like that who throws a tantrum, gets his way, and gets rewarded with a bigger contract.
121 mil.
But on the flip side, he goes out and he delivers. That's the deal. I mean, that's the business they're in. So we're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to talk with the head coach, former Edmonton Stinger of the Nate Ooks, Adika Peter-McNeilly, here on the Basketball Show on Sports 1440. Thanks so much for making us part of your Saturday morning. Welcome back to the Basketball Show. I'm your host, Paul Sir, along with Ryan Reed here on Sports 1440. Our text line is 833-401-1440. I answer our poll question as well. Who should be going into the Hall of Fame? And someone who might very well be in the CEBL Hall of Fame one day is with me now. He's the head coach of the Nate Ooks, 6-year veteran of the Edmonton Stingers, Adika Peter-McNeilly. Adika, good morning. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
So, Adika, I've got the ACAC conference standings up right now, and I see Nate Ooks' team in second place in the North with a 9-1 record in their last 10, 14-5 on the season, a couple of games behind Keano out of Fort McMurray. Talk about the success that you've been able to put together in your first year as the head coach of the Nate Ooks.
Well, I won't lie to you. I think at the beginning of the season, I did not expect to be in this position, being a first-year coach and having almost 10 new guys on the roster. But I have to give it to the guys. They bought in very early and just trusted the process and got better every single day. And here we are right now.
Well, I'll tell you, I like your process better than the process in Philadelphia. I'll just make that statement right now, Adika. But okay, you come by this honestly. You come from to say you come from a family of coaches is an understatement, isn't it?
It really is an understatement because, I mean, I just have to pick up the phone call and I'm talking to another coach, which is a brother or my dad, or uncle, whoever it may be. So, I mean, I come from a basketball family and it's just kind of helped me out with my coaching ability throughout the season.
Well, and I would theorize if I were studying the Nate Ooks under first-year head coach Adika Peter-McNeilly, my hypothesis would be there's some kind of coaching genetic strand that Adika has inherited that has made it possible for him for you to step into this leadership role with a whole new team as a first-year coach to be able to get the team to perform on the court. So I'm going to ask you this question, Adika. When you really boil it all down, basketball is such a simple game. And I mean, there's complexities, nuances, we all know that. But when you really boil it all down, it's a simple game. What have you done? What in your philosophy is so important to you so that players understand the kind of simple essence of the game of basketball and what they need to do to be successful?
Well, kind of tell the guys, I'm like, listen, we're going to make shots, we're going to miss shots. It happens. You can shoot 1,000 shots. You're probably going to miss more than you make, but if you can stop the other team from scoring, then you're at even. So it doesn't matter how many shots you make or miss. And I think we kind of took that to heart, and we're just playing tough defensive mindset basketball where we're just like, you're not going to score on us. It's going to be very difficult. And offensively, we're going to play a little bit free. If you miss a shot, that's okay. Just make sure that the person that you're guarding is not scoring on you.
As I'm listening to you, Adika, and the thoughts occurring to me, I've coached before. I coached in the ACAC, and I've coached at pretty much all levels throughout my own personal life, and of course, being long in the tooth, coming from a very different era of basketball in terms of coaching style. I think coaching has evolved a great deal. Not that all coaches have embraced it, but one of the things that I notice in the way that you play, I'm assuming in the way that you coach, is something that you just commented on, which is getting the guys to play tough, to play hard, but to play with confidence. And old school coaching made that hard because there was such a controlling approach to coaching as opposed to an empowering approach to coaching. I think if I had to differentiate the great modern coaches, I would say that's the difference. I think that's where you excel.
Yeah, I mean, I've just retired recently, so I know what it means to have confidence on a basketball court. Just going into a game knowing that you have confidence from your coaching staff, from your players, from your teammates, whoever it may be, it just makes you play better. So we just try and create a good environment where it's okay to make mistakes, knowing that the first mistake is thrown in the air, and then the second one, you have to learn from it. And a lot of our guys is just go out there, play free, and yeah, you might miss a shot, but just make sure that mistake doesn't compound in the defensive end. Now you miss a rotation or you miss a box out, then I have to come and talk to you and be like, hey, listen, like now you're having 2-3 mistakes in a row. We have to really discuss this. But our guys are good. They're starting to understand that aspect of our philosophy. So, I mean, give it to the guys who are all young. We have like a whole bunch of first-year and second-year guys who are starting to realize that really young.
I'm talking to Adika Peter-McNeilly. Adika is the head coach of the Nate Oaks men's basketball team here on the Sports 1440 Basketball Show. Adika, do you feel that empathy? Because that's how I would describe what you just talked about in terms of how to address mistakes. Do you think that is helped by the fact that you were a shooter? And anybody who's been a shooter, like somebody who's designated as a player that the team expects to shoot the ball when they're open, and you are definitely that player. But firsthand, shooters are, it's hot, cold, and everything in between. And it's what you do when you're on a cold streak that allows you to get back in the game and continue to be effective for the team. Do you think you gain greater empathy from that as a coach?
Oh, for sure. I mean, a couple of our shooters on our team, I could see when they're having a rough shooting game, and you can see it in their face. And I've been in that position, so I just kind of bring them to the side. I'm like, hey, listen, it's okay to miss shots, but it can affect every other aspect of your play. Your defense can't go down. You being a good teammate can't shut down. You still have to be a great teammate. You have to do all the little things. And when your shot goes in, then you all right, now you start to put the whole package together. But I have had games where our best shooters went 0 for 7, 0 for 6, and I'm like, next game. What are you going to do the next game? Are you going to get more reps in practice? Are you going to come before practice, get more shots up? Are you going to do the little things now? Are you going to pump fake, get to the basket, kick it out to somebody else, and then hopefully that returns to you? So I do have empathy for those guys, and, I have a little soft spot for all our shooters on our team. But I think that kind of aspect goes with all our players. It's not just our shooters.
Well said, Adika. Extremely well said. So talk to me about the ACAC. What are your – let's go to 30,000 feet here, Adika. Give me Adika Peter-McNeilly's observation on the league.
It's a great league. I mean, I think every game you just never know what type of team you're playing. I give an example. Last week when we played Concordia here in Edmonton, the first night we ran them up the gym and we won by 19. And in less than 24 hours, we get our butts smacked by 15 or 18. So, I mean, every team is really good. Doesn't matter on the record, especially coming now to playoff time. We're playing teams that are more veteran teams who have been there before, who've seen playoff situations, bigger, stronger, faster. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for us, but we're ready for any type of challenge heading into playoffs.
Well, in the North, the ACAC North, Keanu has developed quite a program, and year on year, they're one of the real tough teams. Lakeland's very good. You mentioned Concordia, but even the other teams, like you said, you can't take nights off. And you look in the South, Briarcrest, who used to be a doormat, 18-1. They've really got it rolling. And then some of the other teams. What talk about the travel schedule and preparing for a weekend games where you have back-to-back. And let's just use the example of you're going on a long road trip. You're going up to Keanu College, which is always a treat to drive on the road up to Fort McMurray. If you ever want the real, kind of a road that reminds you of being on a roller coaster, it's the drive to Fort McMurray. But talk about how you prepare a team for a weekend like that.
We just got to focus on one game at a time. I mean, you can't look ahead about the two games. You just focus on the Friday night and prepare Monday to Thursday, and you scout as much as possible, put the guys in the right positions to win the basketball game, and you put everything for that Friday game. And once that Friday game happens, win or lose, then you have to go again for Saturday. You can't look ahead for two games. And I know our schedule in the first semester, we're playing two different teams on a weekend, which was a little bit difficult for scouting. But what I told the guys is just focus on one game at a time. You can't focus on tomorrow or next week. It's right now. Lock in for the next 40 minutes of basketball. And whatever happens, we could talk about after the game and get ready for the next game the next day.
One thing that I think you've done among many, Adika, really, really well is pick your coaching staff. Talk about your assistant coaches and their importance in what you're teaching your team.
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, we probably are the youngest coaching staff in the league also, and I kind of wanted it that way. I like adversity. I like challenges. I like failing and learning from our mistakes and not always knowing the answers. And with Graham, he's been around ACAC basketball for a long time. He's been assistant coach. This is probably year 4 for him at Nate, and he's been amazing with the guys, just having a bigger role now, talking more, drawing up plays. And then you have Lee, who was a former ACAC player like Graham, played professional basketball. Another shooter, kind of helps out our shooters with technique and the mindset of what it takes to be a great shooter. And then L is just kind of like me, from Scarborough, from Toronto, very tough, very defensive-minded, and he's going to call guys out, and it's just going to be like, if somebody we know that's not playing the greatest in practice or in a game, we have to call you out, not because we don't like you, because we want you to be a better basketball player. And through our meetings, our coaches' meetings and stuff, like, we all talk, and we're like, how can we get better? Like, maybe we messed up here, but it's always positive, and it's just how we can get better as a coaching staff.
Well, Adika, unfortunately, we're out of time, but congratulations on what's happened so far. But I know that let's just call that a 3/4 congratulations, because there's a lot more basketball to be played and the most important season within the season, which is the looming playoffs. So best of luck for the rest of the regular season and getting ready for playoffs, and best of luck in the playoffs. Adika Peter-McNeilly, thank you so much for joining me today here on the Basketball Show.
Thank you, Paul.
Adika Peter-McNeilly, just a tremendous young coach. Nate will be the first stop for him in what I believe will be a very, very special coaching career. He's, as you can hear, just a wonderful, wonderful person, was tremendous, not just on the court for the Stingers, but in the locker room. He has that calm, steady, consistent approach to the way he played, and just a great teammate, and now doing a great job over at Nate. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with our 3x3 segment. We're going to talk with Dylan Travis. Dylan is from Nebraska, one of the outstanding players on a very, very strong USA basketball 3x3 team. And we're going to talk about the Olympic experience, the disappointment they had with a key injury, but also what the plans are for moving forward. Once again, thank you for joining us on your Saturday morning here on the Basketball Show on Sports 1440. Welcome back to the Basketball Show. I'm your host, Paul Sir. Ryan Reed joining me today. Again, our text line is 833-401-1440. We're going to talk 3x3. As any listener knows, I'm a passionate 3x3 guy. We talk about our major event in Edmonton. That's our title sponsor for the show. And I want to continue to bring to you the best voices in this growing global sport. And I'm pleased to be bringing one of those voices to you today as Dylan Travis from Team USA joins me today. Dylan, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on, Paul.
So, Dylan, let's start with, first of all, what are you up to these days as you get ready for the upcoming 3x3 season?
Yeah, I'm just back home in Omaha, Nebraska, staying in shape, just getting ready for the next tournament coming up in, we go to Thailand in March. We have a training camp in early March in LA. So just getting back into things, starting to ramp things up to stay in shape and then, start the World Tour season in April in Japan.
I want to give people a feel for how you came to selecting 3x3 as your game of choice in the sport of basketball. You played, I believe, at a Florida college and then an Iowa junior college, correct? Central Iowa, is that correct?
Yep. Iowa Central, JUCO, and then a couple years down at Florida Southern.
I'm an Iowa boy, and so a lot of people don't know about the Iowa Junior College League. It's quite a league, isn't it?
It is. It's very, very strong conference, a lot of good players, a lot of good coaches. And it's funny, like just the 1 year I played there, I know there's 3 or 4 guys that are still playing professionally overseas in Europe. So there's always guys that end up going to play, Division I, Division II, and then, future pros. So, it's a good conference.
So this is a bit of a tangent, but I really have to ask you because you've watched, along with all of us, the breakneck speed that the NCAA has changed so much. And one of the many major changes is now having junior college not count against your 4-year college eligibility. That's crazy, isn't it, Dylan?
It sure is. I know. I want my 1 year of eligibility back. I want to go play another year NCAA. But what a good thing for these kids, man. I mean, I talk to my buddies. It's like, would you rather have like for myself, a 20-year-old Dylan coming out of JUCO or a 17, 18-year-old Dylan coming out of high school? So, I think these kids will get, developed a lot better and work on their skill work. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to be in college for 6 years, I guess, it'd be a good time for these kids.
Well, it really will be. And I think, too, to your point, one of the things I find most interesting about it is that you've got this free-flowing transfer portal culture now developing, along with the NIL money, which is obviously already making it harder for high school kids to come out and go to Division I programs, even if they're very good, because most coaches are now looking for immediate help with experienced seasoned players, so they're looking to get players from other Division I programs. So I think that in some respects, at first when I heard this, I thought, geez, I don't know. But now, just as you described, Dylan, I think this is better for the kids because in order for them to be competitive and seriously considered, they're going to have to be bigger, stronger, and more developed. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for them to get a scholarship.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I think it's going to revive going JUCO also. I feel like the last few years, it's like, what's the point of going JUCO? Because you can just treat a Division II or NAI like a JUCO and go play a year there, put up numbers, and then transfer to Division I without having to sit out or any redshirt rules with the transfer portal. But now I think you're foolish. If you don't have the Division I looks you want or the looks you want out of high school, why wouldn't you go play JUCO 2 years and, develop and get stronger? So I think it's good for the JUCOs. I bet the prep schools will take a hit if I had to guess.
I would think so, and I've been a longtime critic of the prep school world. Not that there aren't in that world good options that make sense for a lot of kids, but I think a lot of the prep schools that have come on are businesses first, and not necessarily really. Only paying lip service, let me put it that way, to doing what's best for the kids. So the fact that they can go get college credits set themselves up for success academically in a lot of situations, and then go and play 4 years. I think that's a real positive for athletes.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, for sure.
I'm talking to Dylan Travis from Team USA 3x3 here on the Basketball Show. So let's jump into 3x3. Dylan, you played then your final 2 years at University of Nebraska Omaha, who, by the way, plays St. Thomas tonight in the Summit League matchup. Your alma mater. I know the Tommies coach real well, and they've made the transition from Division III to Division I and have actually done really well. But that'll be a good matchup, won't it?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, UNO is doing really well this year, and it's nice to see them at the top of the summit. And my whole family's from Minnesota, so it's nice to see a St. Thomas team doing well too. So,
what part of Minnesota are you from originally?
Well, I'm born in Omaha, but my whole family, my mom, everyone, Minneapolis, Bloomington, Maple Grove area.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah. So lots of Minnesota roots. Okay, so Dylan, post college, how did your career unfold, and how did you end up in 3x3?
Yeah, so I feel like everyone has an interesting pathway to 3x3.
Yeah,
like
they
every
really
player
do.
that you talk to. Yeah, so after college, I went and played 4 years professionally. I played a couple years in Germany, and then I played a couple years in Australia up until COVID. And then COVID shut down my season in 2020. I was supposed to return to Australia for my third year of playing 5-on-5 professionally. And when that shut down, I was 26 at the time. So, I was getting off my mom's health care, and I was like, okay, I need a job. I need health insurance. So I started teaching at a local high school here in Omaha, and became a school teacher, and coached basketball at the high school level, and then got into 3x3 through a buddy that was playing, and this guy named Mike Ranovich, who was like the 3-ball Omaha owner,
right.
Like an independent 3x3 team. Yeah. And so started playing with them, just kind of semi-professionally on the side, played, just on weekends locally in America, and would make, a little bit of money here and there if we did well at these little Red Bull tournaments. And, Mike, our manager, would always said, if you stay with it, you can play internationally. There's something called the FIBA World Tour. It's this league where you go to all these different stops all around the world, and you can play for a lot of money, and it's an Olympic sport in Tokyo. It'll be in Paris. You can wear USA across your chest. And at the time, I'm like, dude, I'm fine with going to Chicago and LA for these little weekend trips. I don't have to miss work or whatever, just to kind of scratch the basketball itch, because I was, still in my prime and retired from 5-on-5, so I kind of felt like I was, still due to play basketball at a decently high level. And but everything Mike said happened. I mean, year by year, it got bigger and bigger, and and then Team USA came calling, and I'm on their main team called Team Miami, and I've traveled the world the last 2.5, 3 years. I quit teaching, and I take 3x3 full time now, and made the Olympics, and it's just been an absolutely crazy ride.
That's a great story, and one that I really have a lot of excitement to be able to bring to people, because 3x3 is still a dot on the horizon for a lot of people. Although slowly, steadily, people are becoming more aware of it. A lot of people saw it for the first time in the Paris Olympics, where it just looked great. And I think people are waking up, and I look at the next cycle leading up to Los Angeles as the next big step in leading FIBA 3 and leading 3x3 to become more part of the basketball culture and vernacular. And you're in that group, Dylan, and that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to be, I guess one of the pioneers to spread the game in the United States, because it's big in Europe and Asia and the Middle East. It's funny, like these tournaments that you go to, they draw a lot of fans, and even Edmonton. When we had that tournament in Edmonton, I thought it was a great turnout, and people loved it. So it's great to spread the game and spread awareness, and it's awesome that it'll be in LA in 28. So I can't wait to see what unfolds.
So Dylan, you head to the Olympics. High expectations. Team Miami, you are winning World Tour events, you're winning challengers, you're competitive in virtually every tournament that you're in. You're all set up for success to be right in the thick of it when you go to the Olympics. And we'll talk about the Olympic format in just a second. But you get there, and you get that dreaded eye, the injury to Jimmer Fredette. Talk about how that all unfolded.
Yeah, like as you said, we were playing on the World Tour, preparing for the Olympics, which was really a 1.5, 2 year thing for us. Jimmer, Canyon Barry, Kareem Maddox, and I were on the same team for 2 years, kind of doing all the groundwork for our country to get us qualified with points and whatnot. So playing all around the world, month after month, traveling on the road, and like you said, winning these tournaments, finishing top 3, which is hard to do consistently. And we're finally starting to gel and figure things out. Jimmer's starting to learn the game and become a really lethal weapon. And, we get to the finish line after these 2 years of traveling and doing all that work. And, yeah, Jimmer goes down the very first game against Serbia, does his groin, and we have to finish the tournament with 3 guys, which if 3x3 as you do, it's really virtually impossible to do well with 3 guys at that level, just because of how grueling and hard the sport is on your body and on your cardiovascular. But, we tried to give it our all, and we had that one day where we won 2 games to give ourselves a fight, and unfortunately couldn't beat the Netherlands in that final game. But it's crazy, we beat France and China, and France goes on to get the silver medal. So I feel like for us, it's always going to be an asterisk on that one with a what if. If we had Jimmer, I think there's no doubt that we medal and have a good shot at getting gold because we play all these teams on tour leading up to it, and we're consistently doing well in those. So it was a tough pill to swallow, no doubt.
Well, the fact that you got there in the way that you got there, and you described it really well, because for people who don't know the 3x3 tour, I mean, it is grueling if you're playing consistently. You literally are going from point to point around the globe, and the FIBA 3x3 tour to this point, and I'm sure it'll be addressed over the next years, is not set up, let's say, for travel convenience because you can be in Europe one weekend and the next week be in Asia and the next week be in Canada. That really takes a special athlete and a huge amount of commitment to work with those conditions, with that kind of travel itinerary, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's a very tough sport to be expected to travel that much and play consistently on tour, and you're battling jet lag and time zones and being on long 15-hour flights, and then you get in the day before the tournament and you're expected to go do well and play and try to win points for your country and win money for yourself. I mean, it's tough. It takes a lot of unseen hours to keep your body in shape to be able to do that. And it's funny. I remember, the last couple of years, you literally travel around the world. You traverse the whole globe, where you play in Asia, and then you play in Middle East and France, and then you come home for a week, and then you do that consistently. And I remember getting off the plane, and I think it was somewhere in Europe, and in Europe you get off on the tarmac and you have to walk to a bus and whatnot. And I didn't know if the sun was coming up, or I don't know if it was setting or rising. I remember asking Jimmer, I'm like, is it morning or night? And so that's the type of mental state you get in, during these 3x3 when you're on tour.
So, Dylan, one final question. Talk about the level of competition and where you see it going. Is it improving? If so, in what ways? And talk about the difference between the cardiovascular is self-explanatory. It's really like playing hockey. Like you have to go hard in bursts, and you can't play 5 minutes straight in 3x3 and maintain a high level. But talk about how tough the sport is, just in the terms of the kind of basketball you play.
Yeah. To answer the first part of the question, I think the sport is growing. You got more and more talent coming over to play 3x3. I think people are starting to see that it's a good way to travel the world and see different spots. Then also, like, the money is good if you can place well, or if you get on a team that pays you a salary. I got into the sport in 2020, and one of my teammates just recently at the Olympics, Kareem Maddox, who's like really the pioneer. He's been playing professionally 3x3 since 2014. Just hearing him talk about how the game's gone from 2014 to where it is now. The master tournaments, which for people that don't know, it's the highest level of professional tournament in 3x3. He was saying back in the day when you played in those, you could get to the semifinals pretty easily, kind of cruise through pool play. But nowadays, like every game is a dogfight. You really have to show up, and the level of play is really elevated. And then the second part of your question, the type of shape you have to be in, it's just so tough with it. One, you're traveling the world. You just got off a flight the day before. And then two, just the nonstop flow of the game where make or miss, you're clearing the ball to the 2-point line, to the arc. It's 1s and 2s to 21. But just the nonstop 12-second shot clock, you're always in some type of action. It's really, I try to tell people, like, I have to be in better shape to play 3x3 than I did 5-on-5. That's how hard it is. It's way more physical. They don't call the hand checks or anything like they do in 5-on-5, so you have to play through a lot of contact. There's a lot of holding and whatnot, on screens that, they let go. So it's hard, man. It's really hard. And like I said, most people think 3-on-3, you check up after every make. You don't. On a made basket, you get out the net, you can throw it out and go shoot a 2-pointer, or, you're straight into action. So it's you can go for making a layup, and then you have to sprint out and close out and guard a ball screen, then guard a flare. And so it's really hard on the body.
Well, you've described it really well. You live it, and I wish you all success in the upcoming season. Dylan, it's been a pleasure to talk to you today, and I look forward to our paths crossing. Certainly hope you're back in Edmonton this year when we host our event, and I'm sure at some point in the World Tour we will see you. But best of luck to you, Dylan, and thanks for making time today. No doubt. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on, Paul. I hope we're in Edmonton too. It's my favorite one to play in. I like the Ice District, and staying in the North American time zone is always a good thing. Yeah, you don't get many opportunities to do that, that's for sure. So, Dylan Travis joining me today here on the Basketball Show, Sports 1440, talking 3x3. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk with the voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves radio broadcast, Alan Horton. We're going to talk about the T-Wolves. We're going to talk about the NBA here on the Basketball Show.